This time around, the Pixel 10a has some small quality of life upgrades besides slightly different color options. The one shown here is called Fog. The Pixel 10a is a tad slimmer and about 3 grams lighter than the previous Pixel 9a. Its dimensions are just a hair different, and it's now using Gorilla Glass 7i instead of Gorilla Glass 3. It's also IP68 dust and water resistant. The price starts at $499. I actually bought mine for quite a bit less since I'm trading in my Pixel 9a, but I'll leave a link down below with current pricing and more information. I also got the official silicone case, but I've got several more cases which I'll make a video on here soon, so keep a lookout for that. It comes with 7 years of software updates. Kind of weird seeing how the camera doesn't really stick out anymore there on the back. Nice aluminum material around the edges. It has a matte plastic material there on the back. I've got to say it looks quite a bit nicer in person than the photos that you see online. You can see it's got just a little bit of green color to it compared to the previous white Pixel 9a. You can see they also moved where the SIM card tray is from the bottom to over on the side. Not sure if that's actually an extra speaker on the bottom or if it's just for looks. We'll have to test that here shortly. I thought the bezels were supposed to be a little bit smaller on this one, but I don't know, they look pretty similar to the Pixel 9a. I don't know, maybe just a hair smaller. They're pretty similar though. You'll also notice how the new wallpaper hides the front-facing camera a little more, but this phone comes with Android 16 instead of 15, so of course you'll get 1 year longer of software updates versus the Pixel 9a. They've also added satellite SOS, which is a safety feature the Pixel 9a did not have. Of course, you can set up an eSIM for this phone, but it also takes a physical SIM card as well. Of course, you get the fingerprint scanner and face unlock as well. Of course, you have Gemini as your personal AI assistant. This also has car crash detection as well that you can turn on. You have gesture navigation by default, but you can also use 3-button navigation as well. But it's got the same size, 6.3-inch POLED display at 1080 by 2424 resolution. It's now a little bit brighter, 3000 nits peak brightness versus 2700 on the previous Pixel 9a. It also has the same storage options as before with 128 gigabytes for the base model, and there's a 256 gigabyte option as well. Shortcuts up at the top. Of course, you can customize quite a few things in there as well by adding or subtracting shortcuts. Tap and hold to change your wallpaper and style, widgets, home settings, and so on. Google Discover left of the home screen. Unfortunately, I don't see where you can remove the date there on the home screen for some reason. And of course, all the pre-installed apps are the ones from Google. Surprisingly, changing the icons seems to work on third-party apps as well. If you go into the settings, it's got smooth display. Once you turn that on, it'll automatically raise the refresh rate up to 120 Hz. Just keep in mind, it's going to use more battery if you have that turned on. Okay, it looks like the fingerprint scanner works pretty good on here. I think the lock screen on here looks pretty good as well. I actually think the build quality on this is better than I was expecting. If you've never used the Pixel 9a, the build quality is actually pretty nice with this phone. I feel like the design is definitely closer to what you would see on an iPhone. Looks like it's using about 21 gigabytes of the 128 available. I gotta say, this is actually a pretty nice case. I kind of wish it had the magnet built in, but other than that, it actually feels really nice. I think screen quality on here actually looks really nice, as you would expect. Again, pretty similar to the Pixel 9a. I think performance-wise, you can expect pretty much the same on this phone as the previous Pixel 9a. It actually seemed to do pretty good when gaming on the highest graphics settings available. It does seem to get a little warm after a while, but not too bad in my testing. Again, I think you can expect performance to be pretty similar on this as the previous Pixel 9a. It's got 8 gigabytes of RAM with the Google Tensor G4 processor. Now, benchmark results are pretty much the same on this for single and multi-core scores as the Pixel 9a, and it looks pretty much identical for GPU performance as well. The battery is the same size at 5,100 milliamp hour, but it now has 30 watt fast charging instead of 23. It also has 10 watt wireless charging, up from 7.5 that the previous Pixel 9a has. Obviously, there's a lot of variables when it comes to battery life, but I also ran my typical battery drain test at 100% screen brightness on the Pixel 10a, and surprisingly, it didn't last quite as long as the Pixel 9a for some reason. Could be because of the brighter screen, not really sure. It's nice that the wireless charging is a little bit faster. I don't personally use wireless charging as much, but it's definitely nice to have from time to time. Even though it looks like two speakers on the bottom, I feel like the other one's just for looks, because if you cover up the one, you can't really hear the audio that good, which tells me there's only one speaker there on the bottom. I feel like the speakers on this phone are just okay. They could definitely be a little bit louder, but not bad overall. Here's a quick sample just to give you an idea of what it sounds like. It's got a dual camera setup on the back with a 48 megapixel wide angle lens and a 13 megapixel ultra wide, just like before, and a 13 megapixel front facing camera. So again, pretty similar to the Pixel 9a. Inside the camera app, you've got long exposure, add me, portrait, photo, night sight, and panorama. Under video, you've got pan, video, slow motion, and time lapse. It can also shoot up to 4K resolution, 60 frames per second for video recording. You can also see how they keep photo and video options separate, so a little bit different than what you see from other companies like Samsung. Okay, seems to be pretty fast on shutter speed. Here's a few quick samples just to give you an idea of what to expect from the new Pixel 10a. Not a huge surprise, but you can actually get really good results with photos and video from this phone, as you would expect from a Pixel. I feel like if you already have the Pixel 9a, it's probably not going to make much sense because it is a pretty small upgrade from what I've seen so far. Now, if you have some of the older Pixel phones, like the Pixel 6a, I would say this is definitely a pretty good upgrade. Coming from some of those older devices, it definitely feels a little more premium than you would expect, but this definitely has the power and most of the features you would need at a more affordable price. If you like tablets, phones, and other tech, I've got a lot more stuff that I'm working on, so you'll want to keep an eye out for those upcoming videos. So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.